2021 virtual St. Ursanne Les Rangiers Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome to the 10th round of the European Hill Climb Championship here for 2021. We are now visiting Switzerland for the St. Ursanne round of this championship. With only 4 to go, now the championships are really starting to hot up, and we're going to be maybe deciding a championship here this evening. We'll wait and see on that one, of course. But my name is Ursanne. I'll be taking you through the day as always, and it's a pleasure to be along once again for another round of this championship, which is unfortunately coming to an end very shortly, in just over a month's time, but we've still got 4 great races still to go here in this championship. As you can see, or just briefly see there, John Spider is kind of the man of the moment here this week in the Group H category, because he can clinch a championship here this weekend, or here tonight I should say, if indeed things go his way. We'll go through the implications of all that in a few moments' time. But before we get into anything else, let's bring you a few details about what this climb entails, I suppose, and what the drivers will be tackling here tonight. So 5.2 kilometres here this time around. 11 metres, the climb was actually extended by 11 metres in 2015. It used to be a tiny bit shorter than this, but they've ever so slightly extended it out to 5.2 kilometres now, or just under that. And over the course of that, they will be gaining 350 metres in terms of elevation from the town of St. Ursanne, where they start on the finish line. just over 3 miles up the road, finishing at 770 metres above sea level, which is more than 1,000 lower than we saw last time around. A truly humongous Trento Bondone climb, which we had just 2 weeks ago. At 6.8% that makes it in terms of the gradient of the climb, and certainly through some of these bends you can see exactly why, because it really does ramp up in sections. That is the second steepest we have had so far this season, and it's probably more of a factor than it has been at other really steep climbs that we've had, because there's a lot of flat out sections here, especially for the higher downforce cars, so it will be putting a strain on those engines and taking a little bit of speed off as well, really. So yeah, well, that's something to watch out for over the course of tonight. As I mentioned, it starts from the town of St. Ursanne. This climb is just outside of it, but it's certainly one of the more urban starts you're likely to see. Well, I'm sure we'll get a view of it at some point as to the start of this one. It's very built up. Well, I say very built up. Compared to a hill climb, it is very built up around the opening section of the climb. But then they take
Testing your playback sound system. Testing your playback sound system.
up right now for the normal on your screen. First of all, a long left-hander, which is negotiated, and 3 hairpin bends right at the very end, 2 to the right and 1 to the left, before they finally get up towards the very end of the climb. And if they go too much further, they'll be on a very big road indeed, and obviously not on a hill climb either, to the slightly narrower road for this climb. So yeah, it's a very well-crafted course, and very tricky one as well. Plenty of different E2 3000 category cars here today, which I'm very glad about. I've seen Francois Cartier out there already, but unfortunately the timing's not updating just yet on the left-hand side of your screen, so we'll wait for that one. Shortly, but yeah, for the moment, the timing is not updating for us, but hopefully by the time we get to the actual event itself, it will be working. One more thing about St. Ursanne as well as we climb out of it. Just to give you a bit of geographical reference, really, we've moved away from the Alps, which we are situated within for the Bondone climb in Italy. And that is the last time we'll be visiting the Alps in this championship, I believe, anyway, with rounds still to go in places that are not the Alps. So, and one more in Italy in the Apennine region, so that's not going to be involving the Alps. We moved to sort of northwest Switzerland. If you just take a U-turn from the start line and drive along the river for a few minutes, then you're going to find yourself in France very, very quickly, because we are very close to the border here. But it is a fairly hilly area of Switzerland. If there's many flat areas, there's a few valleys around, but especially just to the south, where Bern, you get towards the likes of Aigle, all of that, Martigny, and all of those lesser cities of Switzerland. You can get some very flat lands, but up here it's still quite mountainous, despite the fact it's not in the Alps here today, but it's still a fairly large climb in the northwest of Switzerland. And yeah, it's a very historical town, St. Ursanne. It hasn't undergone many changes, if any, since the 16th century. That is a huge accident for Alexandre. We just saw over the last few months. A very important day for him coming up. I think it's safe to say over the next couple of hours or so. So now that I've introduced the day to you, I suppose we should do a bit of housekeeping, go through the championship order, because we haven't so far, and it is going to be very, very important indeed, despite the fact that we do have three championships settled out of the 5 already, with a possible 4th coming here this evening right now. So let's take a look at the championship standings in a few moments' time. But we'll just be preparing those for you, and then we'll bring them to you. But yeah, for the moment, we're watching Sebastian run out on the left-hand side. 4 times up at this climb to the Norma's 6. The last 6 times a hill climb event has run here has been taken by the Norma. So there could be. There's going to need to be a surprise if that's going to happen again. Since this race has been run in the European Hill Climb Championship since 2005, when it was first run here. You can kind of ignore the times on the left-hand side of the screen, by the way. They're not fully up to date at the moment, but we are working on getting some live times actually up there. Looks like Sebastian ran out his best time 29.5 for the moment. But don't quite know how to compare that to the likes of Cartier, etc. Just yet. But we've got most of the usual suspects out here, like Tobias Brushadov, actually, who's out there right now. Championship leader, of course, in E1 plus 2000, negotiating the faster sections of this course, and a very tricky one there, as the wall really jumps out and scares you a little bit, going through that left-hander. And then the final 3 hairpins, which are decidedly slower speed, I think it's fair to say, and a little bit more technical. Just a reminder, really, of what we had 2 weeks ago, which was many hairpins, too many to count, really. It was the track map really did look like a piece of cooked spaghetti dropped on the floor, really. It was hairpins everywhere, but only a trio at the end, and then a power back towards the line. And this is the man trying to topple him, Antonis Paranopoulos, in the Ford Escort WRC. He comes into today 34 points behind the Lancer driver. He's sliding almost WRC style there through these hairpins. It really did feel like a World Rally event 2 weeks ago. Let's remind anyone who's familiar with the Monte Carlo Rally, the Col de Turini stage that often takes place. Haven't seen it in the last couple of years, actually, but maybe I've just not been paying enough attention. It's quite possible. But it really was a reminder of that, really. As Jose Alvarez, in a very distinctive Simca Rally 3, makes his way up the climb as well. Not too far behind Paranopoulos in terms of his position on the road. But we do indeed now have the timing on the left-hand side of the screen, showing that we've got 3 E2 3000 cars here this weekend. 4 of the E1 plus 2000 category, with Frédéric Techer also in attendance, along with the 3 usual suspects. Javi Rodriguez is back again, so is Chris Bennett after not attending the Bondone round. John Spider here as well, but his rivals are not, by the looks of things, the likes of Vincent Toucoulard and Philippe Raab, Eric Tatol. They're not here for the moment. Just to reiterate as well that it's the best 2 times out of the 3 going to be taken on here today that will decide the overall time of these guys. As I say that, Vincent Toucoulard enters the session. So maybe he's just going to be able to delay this championship by 1 round. But he's got 77 points to make up with the remaining 100. There's bodywork parts everywhere at the moment, with Agius Andre driving through them. I'm not sure what that's all about, but... Oh, and that's into the barriers, I'm afraid, for him there, and He goes back to the pit lane. We're just in qualifying right now, setting the order that they will roll off in for the first heat, and indeed, well, all the heats really. But let's take a look at these championship standings now. We've been talking through them briefly, but let's take a closer look at them right now. And there they are, Equipe Regal extending their championship lead in the teams by a big margin at the last round. 63 points. With Sebastian Renat and Eric Tatol now beating Philotheus Argyroux and John Spider, a GSR team, just 6 points behind in third. Then Tobias Brushadov and Gerd Alsen are only 3 points further back than that, so very close in the team's championship. E2 3000 was wrapped up last round by Sebastian Renat, who's got an unassailable lead over Francois Cartier now, who moved into second place with his third runners-up spot of the season so far, jumping in front of Mark Best on that last occasion, and indeed pulling further away from Ludovic Ferrut, who hasn't attended since the second round, I'm afraid, all the way back in the summer. Chris Bennett is the only driver in E2 2000. Excuse me. But his run of 7 straight wins has been broken by his non-attendance 2 weeks ago, and Tobias Brushadov, in the closest of the 5 championships, is leading Antonis Paranopoulos by 34 points with 4 rounds to go. Agios Andre only a further 6 back. George Mallis is the last driver who is technically in championship contention, but it would be a near miracle to see him taking home the title. And there might be a lot of attention on John Spider here today, because he can wrap up this championship ahead of Vincent Toucoulard, Philippe Raab, Eric Tatol, all who are there. Olive Tan can still win it, so can Julien Delage as well, mathematically, but it's unlikely that they're going to be able to as well. 77 points is the advantage that John Spider has. Now finally moving on to the fifth and final one, E1 2000, the slowest category of all, has been wrapped up by Javier Rodriguez with that late time on the Trento Bondone. He wasn't able to overhaul Ivan Murrow, who took his first win of the season, but he was able to get second place and enough points to seal the title with 4 rounds still to go. So there we have it. There are your championship standings heading into this race and this event that is coming up over the next couple of hours or so. In case you're not familiar how this works, the drivers will go out one by one, set by the qualifying order. Fastest one will go off first, with the slowest driver going off last. And the best 2 times on this occasion will count towards the overall time by the end of the day, and whoever's fastest wins, as simple as that. In terms of Group H pretenders, we've got a fair few here today. Patrick Fossey is here with John Spider. A driver who I've not seen before is in third place. I'm struggling to see the name at the moment. Just going to have a look on the standings for any clues. But there aren't any for the moment. I think it's a debutant in the most popular of the 5 categories. Group H, and it started out as the closest, but that mantle has moved over to E1 plus 2000 now, really. Oh my goodness. That was not good for Valadis Corrales, that was, maybe. In the Clio. Going for a bit of a bad time. Agios Andre's had a troubled opening to qualifying as well here. Well, I say opening, it's really ending in just over 10 minutes time, but he has been fairly troubled through it. Here's Pedro Alvarez in the Fiat Punto. Not going to get anywhere near Javi Rodriguez, whose consecutive wins record was broken last time out. John Spider's consecutive wins were also wiped out last time round. So was Chris Bennett's 3 serial winners, who have been pegged back a little bit. We look at Philippe Raab, who's got a chance to propel himself into championship contention with a big performance today. if John Spider's able to win today, then there's absolutely nothing that anybody else can do to keep the championship alive, so just got to be careful of that one, really. But Mirko Hristov as well, who seems to be doing fairly well at the moment, actually. Not too far behind some of the rivals. There's John Spider, our championship leader. And in the top right, a couple of E2 3000 cars who are going to be going scarily quickly up this mountain here today. Could we call it a mountain? Well, I guess, sort of. Certainly not compared to the Bondone which we had last time, but compared to, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, compared to the UK and Denmark as well. A 5 kilometre climb like this, finishing at 700 odd metres, is almost unheard of, as Francois Cartier goes for a spectacular accident at that little cut through I was telling you about a little bit earlier on. Not long left in qualifying now for everybody to set the order here, really. But it doesn't turn out to be too important very often. Just about these drivers getting a feel for the climb, really, more than anything, more than a kind of running order necessity. It's just a bit of practice for these guys, really. I believe the qualifying session does run over 2 hours, so if you do want to get a lot of runs in early on without interruption, without having to queue, as we've seen on occasion through our pictures here, you're better off coming early. But I'm not entirely sure how long the session goes on for. I think I read it was 2 hours in the rules, but it's somewhere around there anyway. Mark Best comes over the line right now, but not really very close to Francois Cartier here today. Nobody very close to this man either, really. Javier Rodriguez out front again in the Honda Civic. Lower downforce cars are really going to be on edge through this opening section. It's very fast and flowing, fairly wide, fairly major road here, but then after all of the roads look pretty major in Switzerland. They're all very well made. And there's no unpredictability about these roads. There's a few bumps here. You wouldn't regard this a bumpy road really in the rest of the world, but by Swiss standards it kind of is. But it's more due to the kind of uphill nature of the and the twisty nature of the hairpins we're about to see that really create that, rather than just poor road making. Something like the Col Saint-Pierre, for example, in France, where there was some real problems over the tarmac. In the Massif Central, the tarmac is famously poor, it has to be said. Whatever you're choosing to take on the roads there with, it's pretty hard work. They're not very well made, we'll put it that way. Sebastian Monat is looking pretty comfortable right now on this climb, as he does so often. That's Javier Rodriguez just coming to a stop with that run. Patrick Fossey in the queue for Group H. I believe he's just behind Brushadov there, Mirko Hristov. In the Opel Kadett GTE. Fossey himself in the same car. Big up to the Norma of Francois Cartier. Less powerful and heavier than the Ursanne. It's not been the car of choice this season, really. It's really struggled to take even a race win. They've not managed to overhaul the Ursanne, and that's not going to help either. A remarkable spin there from Francois Cartier, because very rare that you get to have an accident around here without ending up in something solid, but he's just about managed it there. wheel cut Valadis Corrales. The order suggests that he's miles away from Rodriguez, but in terms of the lap time, he's not actually too far off. Oh, that's going to be a kiss on the barriers, and lucky to get away with that glancing blow, really. And Mark Brest, it's good to see him back once again. Last time we saw him was in Germany for the halfway mark in our championship. He makes his first appearance in the second half here as we try and see what he's doing, but through the left-handers is quite difficult because of the spinal injury-inducing head tilting that goes on there. But there we are. Makes his way through that left-hander and now towards the hairpins, and here they are, where the downforce cars certainly aren't at home, and you can just see the way the Norma clumsily makes its way through these hairpins. It wasn't built for going that slow speed. It was certainly built for the first two-thirds of this run, and not the last bit. It's a very, very quick one though. The average speed is monumental here, and all of the drivers are expected to be under 2 minutes in terms of lap time. When you compare that with last week, it's insane. Mark Best did improve there. I think that's a 38.1 for him now. Patrick Fossey just 3 tenths in front of John Spider in qualifying at the moment. If the times on the left-hand side are to be believed, and I believe they are to be believed, if that makes any sense. Andre does need to start pulling something out of the bag in this championship, because he's getting further and further adrift now. 40 points behind Brushadov, who he's been duelling with the entire year. The two of them finishing first and second over the first 3 races, and then both of them DNFing in the Czech Republic after an exceptionally difficult round where not many did make it to the finish. It was the trickiest we'd had so far, and all 3 of the runs counted, so it was a difficult day for everybody. Patrick Fossey comes over the line right now, and I don't believe he improved there on his lap time. Still first though, in front of John Spider in Group H. Fossey has not been able to win a race this season, and he's only been on the podium once. This be his day today in Switzerland. E1 Plus 2000 is looking very promising right now, has to be said, because Brushadov and Paranopoulos are only separated by less than a tenth of a second, 900ths no less. Sets us up perfectly for an epic duel between the two of them. Another one in which Paranopoulos really just need to start crunching some points. Even if he were to win all of the remaining races, it wouldn't guarantee him a title if Brushadov finishes second in all 4 of those attempts. So something needs to happen here. I'd argue maybe not today, because only 2 runs out of 3 count, so a DNF is unlikely to happen for the championship leader. But if the first run goes wrong, then, or one of the first 2 go wrong, then he could be under pressure for the final one, and that could open the door for Paranopoulos to at least gain 7 points back. Let's take a little bit of a trip on board here with Patrick Fossey. He's not really had a chance to see this climb from the onboard shots so far. Off we go, and you can see straight away the built-up nature of the early part of this climb. Pavements on the side of the road, then a left-hander there. Oh, it's gone wrong already. The left-hander onto a very small cut-through. And it's turned out badly, I'm afraid, for the leader in qualifying for Group H. exceptionally narrow cut through to slot yourself into. And it does open out a bit for the second junction when they get onto this road here, which they take to the top. Kind of medium-sized road. As I mentioned, this one joins up with an even bigger one. Just a few metres past the finish line, which connects the major towns really around this place. Northwest of Switzerland. Trying to see exactly where the border is to France. It's so close that spinning around from St. Ursanne, the next town you visit is on the border. So you only have to go one town across, or village across. It's not really a town, village across, and you're into France. So that just gives you an idea of how close we are. Oh goodness, and that's a bit too close to the barrier for Agius Andre. I thought he lost a wheel there, but he's just kicking up one that somebody else had left lying around, and he's kicking up the dirt right now as well because he went a little bit wide through that left-hander there. Finding it difficult at the moment on the St. Ursanne climb. Third place for Andre. Are his championship chances really slipping away here? Because Brushadov and Paranopoulos have been certainly better than in recent weeks. He's not been able to finish second since the third round of the championship, which just gives you an idea of how Paranopoulos has really taken over that mantle. Look at Francois waiting in line. Going to be the final times coming up in qualifying right now because we've got to the hour now. So just before we get Heat 1 underway, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but make sure you stay with us because the first heat of this hill climb on the St. Ursanne is coming up after this break.
The 2021 virtual St. Ursanne Les Rangiers hill climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the St. Ursanne Hill Climb here, the 10th round of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. We've got 4 rounds to go, including this one, and championships coming to a head in Group H and E1 Plus 2000 especially. And so we're looking forward to the action getting underway. We're just preparing for the first heat of today. As you can see, the kind of changing around of the session right now is happening. Everything being put into order, hopefully, and we'll be able to get underway once that is all complete. And Sebastian Renard is going to kick us off, as he has done on so many occasions in the past, and probably will do in the future, let's be honest. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that, by the way, we've got a lot coming up here at GTR 24H, so yeah, I'll tell you a few things about what's coming up in the future, because after all, it is Le Mans week. The final round of the European E-Racing World Championship is coming up here this weekend. And there's a week's worth of racing, so we're actually, well, I don't think we're not broadcasting every day of the week this week. That is a lot, but most days, and there's a race affiliated with us on every day this week. It's one of the busiest weeks we've had in a very long time. Yeah, we've got this today, obviously, and then Open Practice 1 begins tomorrow. The first part of Open Practice. Then a long day of Open Practice on Thursday, before Wednesday, the 28th. Oh no, I was right the first time. Thursday. Before the first official practice session, then another long official practice on the Friday to get themselves ready for qualifying, which is taking up the usual format from 6 o'clock in Europe onwards, and it goes on until about nearly midnight. Our broadcast will go on until midnight nearly in Europe, and then of course the race starting at 3 p.m. European time in the afternoon on the Saturday, ending at the same time on Sunday after 24 hours of racing. So we do have a little bit of time off tomorrow, but Open Practice will be beginning on the Wednesday for a shortish session. And well, this is unconfirmed, but rumours of a preview show might well be happening tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure where we stand on that just yet, but that's a rumour. Anyway, you should subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and all of those places, and you'll be able to find us if we do indeed decide to throw a little preview in there tomorrow. As if doing something on 6 days of the week this week isn't enough. We'll go for tomorrow as well. But yeah, the preview show may well be happening. That's 4 hours of Open Practice on Wednesday, by the way. Also coming up is the Sprint Series in late November. I think you can still sign up for that. So yeah, if you fancy it on a set of course of competizioni, then you can sign up on the website gtr24h.org. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. But yeah, lots of exciting things coming up, and of course you can sign up for the 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship season as well, which is going to be starting, I think, first rounds in January. Might well be first first week or two of January. We don't wait around. We're not going to be waiting around for the first Jan. As indeed we didn't do this year. I think Indianapolis came on the second Sunday or Saturday, second or third Saturday of the year. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Yeah, 12 hours. Well, the website says 12 hours of Matsusaka to kick us off. And that's the last weekend in January, so we're not waiting around too much. But waiting to the end of January this month. We'll have 3 races within the first 3 months of the year in traditional EWC fashion. Actually, 4 in the first 4 months, the 12-hour races, and then most of the spring and the early part of the summer will be not contested for the EWC drivers, and then as we get towards autumn we'll have the 2 24-hour races, the famous Spa and Le Mans 24-hour races will be happening. But yeah, a couple of new circuits for this season which we haven't seen in the recent past, the likes of Monza, which we had a special event at this year, and Interlagos as well, which will be on the calendar in late April. So yeah, make sure you follow us on all of the social media sites, because we'll be broadcasting all of those races live from start to finish. And yeah, we very much look forward to having your company for those in the new year. So the race director's car has pulled into position now, and before we know it, Sebastian Renau will be making his way to the start line for the first time proper here today. Got another good entry of cars here today, with, I would say, at least 20, although I don't know the exact numbers. Plenty of cars out here to get through, but a short climb today, so in terms of actual lap time, the distance is normal, but the average speed, as you're about to see, is massive. I'm off to go to Sebastian Renau, the overall champion in E2 3000, gets off and makes his way up the Saint Ursanne climb. There's the little cut through to the left. You can see how narrow it briefly gets before opening out onto a semi-large road. And just get a sense for the speed. Even the off-board cameras really do give a sense for how monumentally quick it is up here, and a slide through there as well. But I'm not leaving anything on the table on his first run. Not going for banker times by the looks of things. It's going all out straight away. All that bumpers set him off a little bit. A couple of rises and falls throughout the middle. There's some very steep sections to compensate for that. Like the one coming up just around this camera shot here. There it goes, ramping up very steeply indeed. And here are the hairpins coming up. There's the left-hander, which just kind of flow quite nicely, but then this last part is a bit more stop-start, and it doesn't play into the hands of any of these high downforce cars, of which, of course, Sebastian Renau is one. Well, he has sealed the Drivers' Championship in his category, still looking for a team's title with Eric Tatal, and given his teammate is not here today, to my knowledge, he's going to look to pick up another 25 points to add to his team's name. Over the line for Sebastian Renau, and that is after the line, you'd be pleased to know. It's a 31-2 to kick us off. That's why Karate, you're going to get to see almost all of the runs for almost all of these drivers, actually. This is a bit of a replay. Just goes spiralling into the hay bales after the finish line there. Yeah, we're going to see most of the runs for pretty much everybody here, because it's such a short time. Almost like watching a skiing event. Everybody setting off one by one, but there we are. Cartier also now getting towards the more technical section of the course, and one of the few places in this entire season where you can run around and get away with it there on the grass on the right hand side of that corner. That gets away with it. I think Francois Cartier versus Mark Best is going to be a good fight here today. It's going to be close between the two of them, I would imagine. Up towards the final hairpin of the balls for Francois Cartier. And you can see the finish line in front of him. Difficult to read the time for that at the moment, but it looks like a 35.9 to me, that does. Good 4.7 seconds down on Rona, which is not at all that much. There could certainly be some pressure put on Rona if he makes a mistake throughout his second run and doesn't complete or something like that. So he's just going to make sure that he does, first of all. Not best into the hairpins then, before we really get into the battle we've all been waiting for. E1 plus 2000. Dueling again. Brushadov versus Paranopoulos. And that's a bit deep into the final hairpin for Mark Best, and it's not a great run towards the line. Actually, considering how steep the uphill this final part is, we do want a good exit, but we just get to the end either way. About 2.1 seconds down on Francois Cartier. By the looks of things, this is a bit of a replay as to his slightly running wide. Sebastian Renat going for an accident after the line as well on the bottom right hand side of his screen, but a small mistake there. Definitely didn't cost him all of the 2 seconds he lost to Cartier, but certainly some of it. Now then, it's time for Tobias Brushadov to take on the Ursanne climb. We're going to see it in its entirety. Our championship leader. 3 wins in a row now for the Mitsubishi driver. As he goes over that crest, it's like a ramp. As it opens out now, have a look at the difference between this and what we've seen previous, because the lack of downforce on this car is apparent. Look at the way he has to slide the car in on the rear, the way he's using opposite locks to go quickly. Obviously the Lancer Evo helping him out with that, because it's looks like a very well balanced car always. As Chris Bennett, by the way, has got to the end there in the last few moments. Oh goodness, he does look controlled on occasion, but also out of control in others, so it's not a textbook run from our championship leader, but it might well do. It just depends what the others can conjure up. Oh, it's wide and it's into the barriers. How has he held on to that? Goodness me, he is battling to keep this car under wraps at the moment. Hitting the wall there, Brushadov, and would have been a spin on the opening run. Doesn't use the handbrake into the hairpin, unlike we saw Paranopoulos earlier in the Ford Escort. Just deciding to go through here normally. He's able to kick the back end out due to the setup more than anything, really. And towards the final hairpin. You get the feeling that a little bit of handbrake would have been necessary, but look at the exit he's got there. Nicely done. Up towards the line goes Brushadov. And we'll be able to get a view on the time soon, but have a look at this moment. Here it is. Coming up through these high-speed sections. It's a huge save for the championship leader. Goodness me. Just clips the wall and gets away with it. A 44.5 that time looks like to me. About where he was in the qualifying session. Paranopoulos, look at the way he's using the rear end and gliding his way through there. Seems a lot more efficient than what Brushadov has done, but then again, the exit for Brushadov off of this final turn was better. He saved it quite well there, did Paranopoulos. It looked like it was going wrong for the early part of the corner, but he's got himself together for the end. Now then, it's better. It is better than the championship leader by 0.3 of a second. And first blood goes to Paranopoulos. And it's nearly 4 tenths as well, by the looks of things. It's a good opening for the Greek driver, trying to overhaul a 34-point margin in this championship right now. Tobias Andre on home turf here today in the Mitsubishi Lancer, aiming for championship contention, but increasingly as the weeks go by, falling out of it. When he comes through the final corner, you can just see he's just going as quickly as the others, just visually. He is struggling. It's a 45.3 for him. Think about that like it's a terrible time. It's only just over a second off of the best driver in the race, but if you're looking for a championship, it's not going to be good enough for Tobias Andre, who's looking on course for a third place in a row in this championship. Oh, as Frédéric Teixeira has not had a good start to his day. Let's see. Adam replay. It's an unforgiving climb, as so many of these are. That bump, yeah, oh, that bump gets him out of shape, and it's not a huge accident, but it is a spin. For Teixeira, and he is going to be a long way down by the end of this first run. Speaking of first runs, time for Javier Rodriguez to take to the course for the first time in E1 2000. For the first time proper, I should say. Oh goodness, that was close to the wall. Even less downforce on these cars now, but less power as well, so swings and roundabouts. I don't think Teixeira actually did finish his run in the end, because he's taking a long time to complete it now. I don't think he's going to have got to the end, but so it's a DNF on the first run for Frédéric Teixeira. First confirmation. So basically going to be Javier Rodriguez versus Valadis Corrales in this category here today, by the looks of things. But the Spaniard has an unassailable championship lead anyway. Not sure if he's in the team's championship or who he's with. Doesn't look like he's with anybody actually, so just racing for fun at this point, trying to take more wins really. Going to be close in this category though, because even though Corrales had 5 Group H cars between himself and his rival, he wasn't that far down in terms of time, which is what matters, so there's always a chance. Rodriguez goes to at the end then. It's 51 something there. We go to Group H as well. There's a lot up for grabs here as well. Patrick Fossey, who's going to be first, chased down by championship leader John Spider. Through the final corner comes Fossey at the moment in the Opel GT Cadet. What is it going to be? Well, it's impossible for me to tell at the moment, I couldn't tell you. But Let's see, 51. Oh no, maybe not. Obviously, you at home will probably have a better idea even than me at this point. But what can John Spider do about it? There's a 53-2 for Fossey there. But what about John Spider here? The second to last corner he goes. Looking to try and get near that time of Patrick Fossey, but I think that was a bit of a poor run from Fossey by his standards anyway, compared to what he managed in qualifying. Might be a bit disappointed. Very narrow line from Spider there, which is not ideal considering the exit that you need off of it, but he thinks it's the best line of action, and it's only second place for John Spider as he comes over the line. 54-1, 9/10 down. So is it going to be his day today or not, John Spider? Billy Askins is a debutant in the field here today, in the Fiat X19. Oh, and he's had a big accident, I'm afraid. I'm sorry I'm late to seeing that one, but here it is once again. Just clips that wall on the right hand side and goes catapulting into the wall. It looks like that's the end of his first run. For Askins. Interested to see where Christoph has got to. But he should have been going by now, surely. Here's Nikos Sakinas having his time underway. His whole event underway. And I believe he's the only man out there on the circuit, or out on the climb for the moment. Getting out of shape though. Oh, he's held on to it, but will have lost a lot of time and a lot of momentum. And rivet of tarmac where momentum is very key, especially for the lower powered cars like you're seeing towards the back end of the order. To see Mark Best in the YouTube chat explaining how fun this particular climb is. I think that's what he means anyway. It certainly is exciting for those high downforce cars, and maybe not if you've not got as much downforce at your disposal, which Sakinas is finding out the hard way at the moment, bouncing across those grass verges there, and nearly ended up in another one. Into the final couple of hairpins. Right, so oh dear. A little bit out of shape in the BMW. Quite distinctively coloured, I have to say, as Mirko Hristov gets his way to the start line. And he's surely a contender today. Sakinas then up towards the line. Now, what is it going to be for him today? The first run, it's a little bit down, I'm afraid. 59.2 for him. Over 6 seconds down. On Patrick Fossey, oh goodness, that was Mirko Hristov getting into the barriers through the little cut through that we've seen cause so many problems for so many already. We saw Fossey go off there in qualifying quite quickly. I think Christoph has definitely got a chance today. Certainly an opportunity for him to do something. Seems to be fairly pacey in this Opel Cadet GTE. It's absolutely carried up this climb. Look at it. Through the all-important switchback. For goodness gracious, it's not really a switchback, it's a high-speed chicane, I guess you could say, but commitment from Hurstov there. Look at Manuel Stoll, who's awaiting his time to be called up, but Hurstov is very much towards the end of this run at the moment. But where is it going to take him to? Corrales is out there on the course as well at the moment. But what about Hurstov? Is he up towards those guys, the front three? Well, he is third after all. It's a little bit adrift. 54.9. It's in 1.7 down on Patrick Fossey, who looks like he's going to lead through the first round of times in Group H. Morales committed as ever in E1 2000. It would be impressive to see him anywhere near Rodriguez, really, given the time he's put in first time around here. He always seems to be able to pull it out the bag when the real times begin to come in. Now Vincent Toucoula, Opel GT Psycho. It's been a while since we've seen him in this championship. Back at the fourth round was the last time he was here, but he was immense. Now he is in double vision at the moment. Trying to delay this championship for John Spider as quickly as possible. There he is. Corrales does get to the end, by the way. And it's not a bad time, a 54.2, but it is good 2.3 seconds behind Javi Rodriguez. Oh, Toucoula's made a big error there, and he's gone into the barriers in a big way. That really does put the pressure on himself for the final moments of this. Let's take a look at it in slow motion. Just doesn't quite get far enough to the left there, as you can see. He's trying to turn a little bit more, but the back end is not complying. Gets into the wall on the right hand side and goes flying up the bank there onto his roof, and remarkably stays on the tarmac, but I'm afraid that is going to be the end of his run, I believe. So already drama here on the Central Zone climb. We've had most of the main players make their first runs. A few more to come. But we're going to take a quick commercial break now before Heat 2 begins. Here from Switzerland, you're watching the European Hill Climb Championship on GTR 24H, and we'll be back in a couple of moments.
The 2021 virtual St. Ursanne Rangiers Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Pedro, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the St. Ursanne hill climb here in Switzerland. 4 rounds to go in the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021, including this one. And at the moment, we're just completing the first heat of the day. Philip Riley is going to be one of the last to come across the line. And it's quite important, really, because his championship chances are certainly on the line here today. 83 points adrift of John Spider, which is probably not going to be closed in this one, I'm afraid, but he's here anyway, attempting to overhaul him at least. Let's see, Bravo over the line at the moment. Is it going to be a respectable time? It is quite a good one. Gets just in front of Alvarez in the overall. A 55.1 for him. Less than 2 seconds down. And Patrick Fossey for 4th place there, so very good from him indeed. Only a couple more that's still remaining to go. Likes of Tukulau and Tatol not on the order because they've not had particularly great opening runs, I'm afraid. Not sure who's remaining left to go yet. Andreas Rossival. Bit of a late entry, but it's going to be interesting to see what Rossival can do after winning last time out and secondly 2 weeks before. Oh, into the barriers there though. Uncomfortable. Rossival might be able to take more points away from Spider again, but at the moment he would be clinching the title because despite the fact he's not winning, that doesn't really matter. He beats his opponents, then he'll be champion anyway. Rossival pushing the boundaries through that left-hander there, and I'll have to slow it down a little bit more towards the end here. Ursanne Sivaki also gets underway in Group H. There's a lot of cars out there today. Rossival slides his way into the final corner now. We'll see if he can make it inside the top 5 at least in Group H, because that would indicate a good time for him really. It is 5th. For the moment. what's the lap time is the big question. A 55.6. We'll call it a 55.7. Since it was indeed so close to being so. But 5th place for him, only 2.4 seconds down on Fossey. And considering he's just getting himself into the groove, that's a pretty good time. So Group H times flying everywhere on my notes at the moment, just to try and keep up with everything, because it's a very populated class here today, for whatever reason. To be fair, there were 8 drivers 2 weeks ago. I say that, more than 10 actually started, but 8 drivers at the finish last 2 weeks ago, so yeah, it is a very popular class, but I'm afraid nobody's been as consistent as John Spider in this one. Ursanne Sivaki at the BMW 2002, getting into the final metres of his run, and 6th place for him, just in the low 58s there. Jose Alvarez as well, a very distinctive Simca Rally 3. I mentioned this already, but it is very distinctive indeed. 10 points gathered so far. In the 5th place, he managed to clinch the Trento Bondone last time around. David Desperose is making his way up the hill in Opel Ascona as well. Not seen one of them in this championship so far. So Jose Alvarez is finishing his lap, or his run right now. Just over 2 minutes for him in terms of a lap time, so he's only around about 7 seconds off, but he's 9th. Very close in Group H today. And this really is a classic car, or an old looking car, a bit retro. Opel Ascona 400, goodness me. A bit of a lively rear end going through the hairpins by the looks of things. And there you go, a bit of exit oversteer as always. Let's see. Oh, it's having a few problems on the exits of these corners, but thankfully there's not too many traction zones for him to be dealing with here. And tonight, he just come over the line, but not in top 5. Isu Lagaretta as well is beginning now. So many of these cars today. It's certainly not an understatement to comment on the pace of this first section once more. It is frighteningly quick, really. A bit of slide for Lagaretta, trying to keep the car under some semblance of control, but struggling to do so. A few rises and falls in this one, a few bumps as you can see there as well. It's surprising for such a steep grading, which we have. 6.8% is, well, not steep, but it's not messing about either. There's a surprising amount of flat sections and little falls in the road. Just make the uphill parts a bit like this, really. Very tricky. Oh, and he's gone lawn mine, I'm afraid, Lagaretta. Oh dear. We've seen so many drivers go wide in that grass here today, and it's one to add to the list, I'm afraid. Andreas Pollerbauer in the Opel Cadet GTEs getting himself underway as well. First run for him in 2021. In the championship as a whole, that is. Nice shade of colour to that Opel. has to be said, but what's his time going to be like is the bigger question, I suppose. Coming up to where Agreta had his problems. Oh, at the top of the hill, and before he gets there, Polibar's going to have some of his own. He's kept things on all four wheels at least, but not facing in the right direction. He'll have to turn it around and get going again as Agreta goes 13th. Let's have a look at it on replay. Classic going too wide through the left-handed part and getting the oversteer. Crashing down the bank afterwards as well. Final corner for Polibar. It's not going to set the world on fire this lap time, I'm afraid. Alex Straightner leaves the start right now as well. Oh, and straight into the barriers in the little cut through to the left there, I'm afraid. Fiat Punto, but it's going to be a long flat out section now, or at least a long high speed section. Up the valley he goes. Where it does begin to open out a little bit more at the top. Looking to just kind of get a banker time in almost at this point. And also running out there at the moment, Bennett Arlandis, who I noted was in qualifying for a very long time in the Alpine, which is my favourite looking car on the grid, or in the paddock, or whatever phrase you want to use. Arlandis only able to go 14th on this occasion, I'm afraid, but he's doing it in a wonderful car, so who can blame him for that? Oh, that's deep into the third last corner of the course. And a little bit deep again into the final one, just trying to get a time on the board, I think, here, more than anything else. It's fourth place out of 4, I'm afraid, for Shakener, but not too bad of a lap time. At least he has got one on the board, which is more than can be said for some, and put it that way. So it looks like that may have been the last lap time, although there's a car making its way to the start now. Not sure who that is. Pascalis Angelopoulos is joined very late, and he's here now for E1 plus 2000, so late entry, but always welcome either way. And it's going to be a bit of a shock here to see the speed. He clutches the barrier through the cut through. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a surprise to see the speed at which we're going to be travelling at now, because of what we've been watching over the last half an hour or so, really. We're playing 8 cars in the E1 2000s. Going to be knocking a good 10-15 seconds off a lap time now. Most of that down to cornering prowess more than anything else. Getting up time on the board in the opening runs of these events is really crucial, and Angelopoulos will be wanting to do that right here if if you can, of course, but we'll wait and see on that one. Slides his way through. He comes into the hairpins now. This is where it does get especially steep as well. You saw the cliff on the right hand side there. Now it's not very far in terms of actual road, but they're going up there, trying to. The punch of the Mitsubishi out of the corners will certainly be helping. And we saw Brushadov using that to good use earlier, but still cost him 4/10 of a second from Paranopoulos. Oh my goodness, that's the most sideways we've seen anybody into a corner. But he's made it in. Paranopoulos is going to come towards the line now. It is going to be fourth for him, but I'm afraid he's amongst the Group H cars. Not the best lap time for him, I'm afraid, on this occasion. It's a 54.7, 10 seconds down on Paranopoulos there. Despite the fact it didn't look too bad, I must admit. So then, that's the first run complete. And we'll have a look at some of the highlights of it. Francois Cartier going for a spin. I believe that's towards the back end of qualifying actually, but these are some of the things we've seen so far. Patrick Fossey had a good opening run, but this run in qualifying didn't quite go to plan. He goes through the hedge and into the barriers in a big way. Sebastian Renat imperious as ever in the first part of this event. The first heat, he's already put 4.7 seconds into Francois Cartier, his nearest rival. Mark Best, after admitting himself of having an exhilarating time, is 2.1 seconds in turn behind Cartier in the end, so work to do for all of those guys. Do 2 more runs for everyone, of course. And of course we have the big drama in E1 Plus 2000, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. Already big moments in that championship. Tobias Brushadov not looking settled, it has to be said. Was struggling out there. And this was his biggest moment. How he held on to this we'll never know, but it's cost him a good deal of time. 4/10 of a second overall in the lap time. And a 44.6 compared to the 44.2 of Paranopoulos. Frederic Tacher was nowhere near either of them, I'm afraid, because of what we're about to see. Getting it all wrong and out of shape and ending up on the banking. Javi Rodriguez has got a fairly big lead as well going into the next heat. It's another good performance from him in the opener. Very calm and considered, as he has been all season. To beat out Corrales by a fair margin. At least 3 seconds he's put into his rival. And Vincent took another man with work to do if he wants to keep this championship alive, as at the moment, if the event were to stop now, John Spider would be crowned champion for 2021. He'll have an unassailable points lead with 3 races to go, and this is why Tukulaz so far down. A big accident. Damaging his car quite badly, but was able to get to the end. Admittedly not with a competitive time, but he did make it. Manuel Stoll in his first hill climb event is 5 seconds down on Fossey. But as we've seen the highlights now, we'll go to because it's just gone underway with Sebastian Renat. looks like Mark Best is not in the session at the moment, but he may well be just disconnected and rejoining again. Wait and see on that one. It's looking fairly comfortable for Sebastian Renat, it has to be said. As it has done for many consecutive weeks at this point. He's taken 7 on the bounce now. And looking at possibly an 8th. Unless Francois can do anything miraculous about it. Oh, he's certainly pushing hard to do so. Just getting into the wall. Bit of cut through that. Final corner for Renat. And now finally over the line, and he'll go into those hay bales as well, of course. To complete for the second time here today. The 30.3 for Renat. A good 9/10 quicker than what he managed in the first run up here. With only a few corners to go, but you can imagine what the outcome is going to be. Judging on previous form and what we've seen so far this season, Cartier has been courageous and he's finished second in the last couple of attempts to add to his now 3 runners-up spots that he has for himself, but never really been able to seriously challenge Renat, and today is looking like a very similar situation as he completes. It's a very good time actually there. A very promising time. Oh, I'll say that. It's actually a little bit slower than what he managed before. 37.1 we'll call it. 37.099. So maybe a chance for Mark Best if he can go any quicker. And a rare look at the Formula car that we have on the grid. Chris Bennett. Looks like Mark Best not having good. Oh, he's lawn mowing badly there. On a long way off there, I'm afraid, for Mark Best. So that's going to be a slower time for him, I'm afraid. And likely the time that he drops, if indeed the final run goes to plan. Let's hope so anyway. But that was a fairly large off, but fortunately no big accident, just a lot of time lost really. He does finally come over the line now with a 43.7. Likely that the cars are classed below that will be getting somewhere around there, so yeah, Mark Best will be disappointed with that one. Here he is though, Tobias Brushadov. Losing out in the first run to Paranopoulos, he has got work to do. And his car doesn't look as good as we've seen sometimes in the past. He's on a 3-race winning streak at the moment. Since he retired from that racing in Czech Republic. A very tough event on that climb. He's not been able to stop winning. It has been close every time, but a win is a win. Here's the corner where he nearly came unstuck out last time, but it's much better judged on this occasion. Maximises these corners, he goes a little bit wide there, but I think he's just got away with it. And there is his rival as we go split screen. Antonis Paranopoulos on the right hand side, pushing for his life as well. What a fantastic championship duel it's been between the two of them. Paranopoulos didn't even compete in the first round and didn't manage top 5 in the second either, so it's been a remarkable story since then. It's looking like a possibly cleaner lap. There could be a story to tell here as Brushadov comes over the line. We'll get confirmation on the time very shortly. And Antonis Paranopoulos is going to try and better it, of course. It's a 44.3 for Brushadov. It's 3/10 better than what he's managed in the past, but it's still not as good as this man's first lap time. So the ball is very much in Antonis Paranopoulos' court. He goes over the line and he goes faster again. So are we seeing the beginning of a fight back from Paranopoulos? Two exceptionally consistent lap times. And if they had to take those lap times through with them to the results sheet, then Paranopoulos would have this by half a second. Goodness me. Really has been a fantastic category to watch, E1 Plus 2000 this season. And you just get that feeling it's going to be a very dramatic conclusion to it as well. There are the main times then from E1 Plus 2000, and we've got a fair few more times to come through shortly, but we've got to take a quick commercial break now, so we'll be back in a few moments' time with more racing from the St. Ursanne climb here in Switzerland. We'll be back in a couple of moments.
The 2021 virtual St. Ursanne Les Rangiers hill climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Pedro, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
to the St. Ursanne climb here in Switzerland, where we've just seen the front runners in Group H coming up towards the line. John Spider went a little bit wide there, I have to say, and was grass cutting for just a little bit, so this time might not be quite as good as Patrick Fossey's, who's managed a 51.7 on this occasion, a good 1.5 seconds quicker than he managed on the first occasion up this climb. John Spider still in a good place to take the championship, but maybe not this particular race on this occasion, as he destroys a few more hay bales going over the line. It's going to be second for Spider by a good margin there. 55.3 is not good for him at all, so yeah, that's a big disadvantage. Nearly 5 seconds of him to make up before we get to the end of tonight. But this section of the broadcast is pretty much reserved entirely for the Group H cars. There's so many of them today, but there's going to be a lot of them running up through here over the next half an hour or so before we get into the final runs up this climb. A slightly strange moment now where nobody is actually out on the climb. So clearly somebody has forgotten it's them, or some strange interaction going on there, but here we are. Now somebody turned their lights on there to get going. So we will have that car out again. Because Saknias is getting his run underway here. Fossey looking in a very good place, though, it has to be said. Plenty of drivers who might be able to overtake John Spider, or at least do a better time than him on this occasion, because of that mistake. There's a chance for the likes of Philippe Raab. We don't know what Vincent Tukulari is going to do yet today. Mirko Christoph. So Andreas Rossival as well, last round's winner. Well challenged, so plenty of intrigue in the next front runners of Group H. There is Christoph. Oh, Saknias. Sliding his way through a difficult second half of this climb. Oh, Christoph's gone flying through there, but he's still executing it perfectly. Goodness me. That was commitment. It's paid out quite well. Saknias definitely seems to be struggling with the slower speed sections. The bumps and acceleration zones not finding greatly there. Him. I guess we'll see in a few minutes' time whether Saknias is anywhere near the front runners. He's just come over the line now. It's a 55.3, so it's a very similar time to John Spider. It's impossible to keep track of all of these cars' particular lap times as they come across the line, really. Bristol's time is going to be very interesting, though. 54.9 on the first run, which is 8 tenths worse off than Spider, but I reckon he could go 8 tenths better off on this occasion. It's very possible that he'll be able to do that. So let's see if he can. Put it towards the final corner. with the line now. Is this going to be anywhere near good enough? Well, it is better off than Spider, but by how much is the question? I think about a second, maybe more. It is about a second better than Spider. So all of a sudden the championship leader is coming under fire. Philip Robb may be able to challenge in the same way as well, but we'll take a brief diversion to Valdez Corrales, who would do well to get anywhere near Javi Rodriguez with this lap time, really, considering the time that the Spaniard has put in. He'll probably be somewhere within the Group H pack, you'd imagine. And the Renault Clio, it's flat out for a lot of this, but definitely not this bit, where you do need maximum commitment. A crazy section of corners, that is. It gets a little bit more slow speed and sensible towards the end. Not ideal for a front-wheel drive car though, as you're seeing just there. A little bit difficult to get the car around, and well, it's all well and good getting it around, but it's getting it through with pace that's the problem. Now then, Ludovic Askins has done a good job there. 53.8 from him, that's a promising time. So Spider comes under further threat. So Corrales is also going to come across the line with a time of 53.7, just slightly better than Askins. And half a second better than himself compared to what he did first time around. Tatol made a mistake on the first run, so did Tukula, but he needs these points. He is technically unable to win this championship, but he's going to need a bit of a miracle. Oh my goodness! That's a huge accident. And the car, the Simca Rally 3, is an absolute wreck. Goodness me, that was a big accident for Eric Tatol. We're going to see it again here. Instead of turning in too late to the left-hander, which you've seen so often already, it's too early on this occasion. Clips the bank and goes hard into the wall. Oh my goodness. Up the bank and down, crashing back down again. Trying to gain some points for Equipe Regal, the team he's alongside Sebastian Renau with. As they try and extend the margin over Brushadov, who's John Spider, who's forced to do it on his own, really. Arguably not really driving that much. Eric Tatol is to 58.7, so it's actually a lot better than he managed. Wow, that's quite a time, actually. It's very impressive considering the wreck that his car is right now. So, maybe there is something in it for him throughout the final run, but it's probably not going to be a victory on the round, considering the pace of Fossey, etc. Manuel Stoll did a 58.4 in the first run, 5.2 seconds down on Fossey, and he's going to try and do his best to improve upon that, of course. Looks like a 55.4 for him on that occasion. That's a big improvement, actually. Now we go back to E1 2000 and Pedro Alvarez, but I'm quite interested to see where Philip Robb and Vincent Tukula are. I've not seen them yet. Oh, there's Tukula, speaking of him. Is this enough to get in front of John Spider? It needs to be a 55 or better, really. His first lap time was a 2-minute 9.9. Just going to get him nowhere, really. Not going to keep this championship alive if that is all he can muster. He wiggles around just a little bit there, and oh, it's through this section again. Goodness me. You remember it took back to the first run where he was up the bank and came crashing back down to earth again. There's very nearly a similar situation going on there. He's kept it under control for the moment. Is it fast enough though? That's the big question. Spider's lap time this time around was not that great, so he might be able to overhaul it. We need a strong final sector, and by the looks of things it's fairly clean for him. Let's see where he ends up then. In this heat, it's second place. And better than Corrales there, actually. Very impressive from Tukula. A 53.5. Now that's better than anything John Spider's done today. It's a very encouraging sign for Tukula, who might be able to keep this one alive. Philip Raab comes over the line as well with a 55.1. Almost identical to what he managed in the first heat. He's going to be about 8 tenths behind Spider if you add those two together. Brushadov trying to get up towards the front as well here. He's another contender. This is so close in Group H. But Patrick Fossey, John Spider, Vincent Tukula, Philip Raab, Louis Askins, Nico Christoph and Manuel Stoll, Andres Roosevelt, they're all there. Got about 8 cars in very close proximity. At the moment, it looks like Fossey is just about out in front of... What was that all about? Didn't quite see. It looked like he was stuck to the cliff face there slightly. What on earth was going on there? Not ideal running through for Roosevelt there really, but gonna get on with it anyway. Over the line he goes. It's not too impressive, I'm afraid to say. 56.9. He just got stuck to the cliff face by the looks of things. It was bizarre. Exceptionally bizarre. It's almost impossible to work out who's leading in Group H at the moment, by the way, because, well, Patrick Fossey's leading, but after that it's a mess. You've still got guys like Askins and Tukula who failed miserably in their first attempts, but got the pace. We've got to wait until the end to really find out what it's going to be like. Which is, of course, the way we want it. A few more Group H cars to come then. Jose Alvarez is going to be one of them. And so is David Despres. Izu Lagaretta will be going later on as well as the Opel Ascona nearly steps away from Despres. Alvarez finishes there in 11th place for him in this heat. I'm pretty sure that Opel is missing a bumper actually on the front. That's not... it's missing the scoop kind of thing on the front. I'm hesitating to call it a splitter. You can see the radiator very exposed there now. And this is how it happened, because, oh goodness, of course it's these two corners again. This little chicane. Oh my goodness, that's a big hit on the barriers. And I was almost surprised that it hasn't done more damage than that. He limps to the finish. Over 2 minutes of a lap time for him there. In the Opel. Oh, and into the barriers, Marcus Blassel. Where was he in the first heat? Certainly not inside the top 5. And that's not a good start to his second heat either. Well, this is going to be a slow time for Blassel, I'm afraid to say. Maybe this is what happened to him. Oh, it's these two corners again. Into the barriers. That was a secondary incident. There's been something else going on during this as well. So a lot to unpick from this run here. And not much of it is good, I'm afraid to say. Oh dear. Over the line for Blassel. It's a lacklustre time on this occasion, unfortunately. Andreas Polibar also makes his way through. I think that's Alvarez going to the start. At least another one of the E1 2000 cars is Bernard Orlandis is making his way up the hill on the Alpine. In the Alpine, I should say. Oh, and it's a spin. Up the bank he goes after a spin for Orlandis. Oh dear. Trying to get back going again. He's a little bit stuck though. In a precarious position. And does get back turned around again as Polibau goes 14th, but Orlandis is back going again, fortunately. And there he is. Lots of momentum lost, but this lap time is pretty much out the window, you could say, at this point. And towards the hairpins he comes in the Alpine. Yeah, definitely my... well, the Opel Ascona is now running it close, but probably my favourite looking car on the grid. Or in the paddock. Very interesting car indeed. Oh! Into the barriers. Going up the banking there. Alex Shortner. I'm afraid to say, as Orlandis gets himself 15th overall, but Shortner looked to be stuck. He's gone back to the garages now, as John Kanalopoulos is also going at it. You can see the very final few runs coming here through for Heat 2. So very quickly, before we get into Heat 3, we're going to take another commercial break and then we'll be able to take the front runners of the final heat of the day all ad-free. So stick around, the final runs at the St. Ursanne hill climb are coming up next.
The 2021 virtual St. Ursanne Rangiers hill climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Pedro, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Perfect. A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the St. Ursanne hill climb here in Switzerland, where we're preparing for the final run of the day. A lot up for grabs in all of these categories, but Sebastian Renat is probably the most comfortable one of them all, looking to pick up some more points for his team on this occasion as opposed to himself, although he will do that as well. As Equipe Regal are in a fierce teams championship battle that they look like they are on top of at the moment. The final run here in Switzerland is underway. Sebastian Renat carrying up this course one more time, as he has been doing on other occasions in the past here tonight. It's absolutely miles clear, good 10 seconds clear of his opponents at the moment. And it's very unlikely they'll be able to touch him here once again today. Absolutely no reason to take his foot off the gas at this point. He's just pushing for everything that he can get, leaving nothing on the table because there's no point in being conservative. He's already got the win nearly in the bank. For all intents and purposes, and to his mind it certainly is, so he's just going at this as quickly as possible. It's all going to go into slow motion in the final few moments of this climb, but they're still taking it very, very quickly indeed. A 1 minute 30.3 is the fastest lap time we've seen all day so far. And we're going to see a sub 90 second run up here. Covering over 5 kilometres in less than 90 seconds on terrain like this is absolutely insane, but it's what he's been like all season, really. Oh no, it's gone wrong at the end. Oh! It's a huge accident, and he crosses the line. Oh my life! It's the quickest lap time of the day. He's crossed the line 30 metres in the air. I've never seen anything quite like it. Oh my goodness me. I don't know how he's managed that. Flat out corners towards the end, he's just clipped the barriers by accident, and he's gone launched it. Oh my. Well, that was a sight to behold. Absolutely launched him into the air. He still managed to cross the line somehow. Through the trees, he was in line with the timing. So he's just been accepted as going through, and that's his fastest of the day. That is one way to clinch a victory. Well, likely victory anyway, because Francois Cartier needs to gain about 13-14 seconds, or go 13-14 seconds quicker than him on this lap to have a chance. And you can just see, even visually, that that is highly unlikely to happen. Through the final corner for Francois Cartier, and it looks like it's going to be a fourth second place in 4 appearances for the Norma driver. He can't quite round it off with his best lap time of the day, unfortunately, but it should be enough for second on the day. Mark Best needs to be in the low 34s here if he wants to overhaul Cartier to get into second. And I'm afraid he will not be able to there with a 37.8. Do his best lap time of the day, and it will be third for Mark Best, but he drops another 3 points to Cartier, who will now be 6 points ahead of him in the race for second place in the championship. But a far more important championship is unfolding in the top right hand side of your screen. Tobias Brushadov needs to pull a special lap time out of the bag here. He's one of the very few drivers on this grid who actually could, so the time is now his to attack this course. He's coming up to the section where he got so out of shape on his very first run. I've lost him crucial tenths of a second. You've got a chance to make up for that now. Absolutely on the limit. He's gone wrong. Into the bank he goes. A bit of speed knocked off, but it's not disastrous. It's not ideal either, though. Brushadov with a mistake on the final run. And it could be a costly one. If he can't go quicker than a 44.2 on this lap time, then it doesn't really matter what Paranopoulos does. He needs to do a 44.0 to have a chance of winning this. At least a 44.0. Can Brushadov pull this out of the bag? It's a fantastic exit off of the final corner. Elegantly drifts through there. Over the line he goes. And what is the time going to be? It's very good. 43.8. So, Paranopoulos needs to go quicker. A lot quicker. 3 or 4 tenths quicker than he has done previously. Can he do this? Brushadov will have his heart in his mouth. I don't think he has. I think Paranopoulos has had it stolen away from him right at the end. Oh, goodness me. He has as well. That's his worst lap time of the day. Oh, my life. And by 3 tenths of a second, Tobias Brushadov has won again. 4 wins on the bounce for the championship leader. And he extends that lead to 41 points with 3 rounds to go. Agios Andre is going to be third again. And, Angelopoulos is going to do well to get to the end, looking at the way that was going. Once again, Andre with the worst lap time of his day as well, I'm afraid to say. Another third place for him, but Tobias Brushadov, how does he keep pulling it out the bag like he just did there? This is becoming increasingly difficult for Paranopoulos to be able to win this championship now. He's put it all on the line today. Brushadov has even made a couple of mistakes. Oh, and that's speaking of mistakes, that's a big one for Cartier. He needs to get to the end here, because he's only got 1 lap time on the board so far, and he will be able to, but it looks like it's going to be 5th for the one. Oh my word, I'm off again, I'm afraid, but not going to matter too much. Another exceptional drive from Brushadov. Oh, and Angelopoulos retires the car as he goes over the line. It's still going to be 4th place for him today, but a rather strange way to end his hill climb this afternoon. Now Patrick Fossey will not be completing. That's interesting. He's been into the barriers apparently, so I'm not sure where Tobias is. A little bit worried that he's not made it to the end here. But Fossey's lap times are now set in stone, although neither of them have been bettered so far. He's got the fastest and second fastest time of the day in Group H, so it looks like he'll be okay. Yeah, I don't think Tobias has got to the end here. It might be a DNF for him here. Rodriguez. Another remarkably consistent day from him. It looks like another victory, back to winning ways for the Spaniard today. Now then, Ludovic Askins. Where to start with all this mess? He has got the 3rd best lap time of the day so far, but he's got a DNF on his first one, so he can't go all out here, surely. He's got to keep something in reserve. Oh, and John Spider goes for a spin. Well, John Spider is not going to improve on his lap time here. And all of a sudden, Tukula has the chance to keep this championship alive. The gap's 77 points. It's exceptionally unlikely that Spider will lose this one, but looks like we might not see him clinch it here on the St. Ursanne climb. Tukula's got an outside chance of still winning yet, so we'll keep an eye on that, but Askins has likewise. If he can do a 51.1 or 0, even better, then he would overtake Patrick Fossey in the order here. But championship leader John Sparta gets to the end. He's going to have to come back in 2 weeks' time, possibly to try and clinch this championship again. Now then, Askins is on a mission here. Is he quite quick enough, is the question. Oh, it's a slide through the final corner. He's lost momentum up in one of the steepest sections. Is it a low 51 that he needs? No, not really, I'm afraid to say. It's a 55-1 on this occasion. And that all of a sudden brings everybody else into play almost. In terms of the race win here, or the event victory, Tukula is definitely the most realistic chance. Here's Nikos Sakinis trying to get to the end of his run. We've still got some big names to come here. We'll be seeing Mirko Hristov in the next few moments. Rambo Stoll will be here. Vincent Tukula, Philip Raab, Eric Tato, and Andreas Roosevelt also. But whether anybody apart from Tukula can do anything about Fossey's lead in this event is very much up for debate at the moment. I think it's leaning towards a no for everybody else as well. So Fossey is looking good here, despite his accident on the final run. Many people pushing hard late on though, Christoph included. It's a lot for grabs, and he's set 2 respectable lap times so far as Hristov, so he can really go for this. But we'll be seeing him get a podium out of today. Indeed, things go his way, of course. Managed to 2nd place 2 weeks ago, so it's not an alien concept to him. Apologies, Corrales in the Renault Clio has put on a respectable performance today. And Ivan Muro showed 2 weeks ago on the Trento Bondone that that car is not bad at all, as he managed to take the Renault's first win of the season. The first time in a long time that Javi Rodriguez hasn't won, but it would be an absolute miracle if Corrales was able to take the win here. What about Christoph? Not a bad time. Fastest of the final heat so far. A very respectable time indeed. He's comfortably, I would say, second place right now. He's certainly gone quicker than John Spider, as Vincent Tucola is in the opening part of his run as well. I say the middle part, really. Things gradually getting more twisty. Tucola can do a 51.4 or lower, then he'll be able to overtake Fossey, but it's a huge ask. It really is. Final hairpins coming up for Tucola. Now, is this going to be better off than Spider? He's already got 6/10 advantage over him with this lap time. So a 55.8 would probably be good enough. But he can go 4 seconds and a half quicker than that, then he could take the whole event with him. So, you never know. Final corner, a little bit of a tight entry there, I have to say, and it's not a bad exit, but not an ideal one either. Let's see what Tucola has got for us up towards the line. Second place in the heat. What's the lap time, more importantly? The 54.1 as well. So that is better than John Spider, and this championship is going to roll on for another round. So it looks like Patrick Fossey is going to be the winner. Eric Tatol up towards the line as well. He's not going to be grabbing many points for Equipe Regal here, and even less with that kind of sliding coming out of the final corner in the Simca Rally 3. Oh, that's a good time. That is a good time. Good 4 seconds quicker than what he managed in his best one so far. A 54.3. Lots of difficult things to work out here in Group H, has to be said. And we'll be able to fully when Raab, Stoll and Rossival have all come over the line. At the moment, John Spider's definitely being beaten by Tucola, and that's going to make the championship roll on to 2 weeks' time. Christoph's beating him as well. Askins is going to be ahead of it. Rossival's got a chance to do it as well, so it's all up for grabs here now. You watch Sivaki getting a bit of air on the right hand side of the screen. You're getting out of shape as well. Just a kiss on the barriers. But a lot of momentum lost for him there, I'm afraid to say. Dakinas has put in a fantastic time in this run, by the way. Second place in the heat so far. It's somewhat surprising, but a great effort from him. You can see how fast or hard these guys have been pushing, really, because there's a lot of guys who are not making the list on the left-hand side of the screen right now, and it's mainly due to incidents they've had. Rossival then over the line. To 54.6. And that does make things complicated as to whether he's beaten John Spider or not in this one. Oh my goodness me. Jose Alvarez has gone for a humongous accident there. And it's very doubtful he'll get to the end with that kind of car. We just caught the back end of it, but that was a massive accident. Back up towards the line and spins across the line indeed. And rolls it, goodness me. But he does make it to the end of the Ursanne hill climb, so fair play to him. I'm not sure if Philip Raab or Manuel Stoll are going to do lap times at the end here, because I would have thought they would have been by now. Let's take a dash press anyway. Yeah, I was wondering that as I said it actually, whether that's French or not, but I'm not entirely sure. That's certainly a slide and up the bank for the Ascona. Oh, and there's a handbrake turn as well. I think we'll go with Dupre. My rudimentary French accent there, but anyway. One more corner for him to complete this hill climb. And a big slide. Oh my life, that was big. But he's controlled it well. And he'll be able to get to the end with a big slide over the line as well. Now Andreas Palabar, I don't know if he got to the end of his second run, but he certainly had problems. I'm just trying to figure out here who's going to be where after all of this. Put it this way, John Spider is losing a fair few points here. Marcus Brassel also out there, as you've just seen. Lagaretta not having a good start to his run. The little cut through, he's having to turn around during it. See how that one happened. Very tricky section. Just clipping the inside wall, then the outside. Oh goodness, it's a big accident, I'm afraid, for him. I'm really not sure what Raab is doing a lap time. I don't know if he's still on the server or not, though. Looks like he's not with us any longer. And Stoll as well, not setting another lap time. It looks like John Spider might well be 6th at the end of this, and losing 10 points to Tukula. But from possibly clinching it today by just staying in front of him, he's actually lost 10 points. He'll have a 67-point lead going into the final 3 rounds, but it's now down to a 2-horse race in Group H. Raab was 7th after John Spider in 6th position, then it's will be Tatol in 8th. Or is it? Well, no, probably Roosevelt. That'll be close between him and Raab. Anyway, I'll be able to give you a rough top 10 when this all shakes out, but it looks like Lagaretta is just coming towards the end of his time. So as these final few runs are filtering through, I'll tell you about the final standings of this hill climb for the front runners anyway, and what that means for the championship. So Sebastian Renat, unsurprisingly, has taken his 8th race victory in a row here on the St. Ursanne climb. Did it by over 10 seconds to Francois Cartier, who come home 2nd, and Mark Best in 3rd. Cartier is going to be now 6 points in front of Best in that race for second place in the championship, but I guess you could outline now that the championship win is definitely going to Sebastian Renat, who ticks over 200 points today as well. In the fascinating E1 plus 2000 category, Tobias Brushadov has pulled it out the bag late on to take another 7 points away from Paranopoulos. Agios Andre, the eternal third at the moment, finishes there again. Pascalis Angelopoulos fourth, and Frederic Tacher, DNF, I'm afraid, after not finishing on 2 of his runs. So Brushadov extends his championship margin to 41 points to Paranopoulos and 50 to Andre. 75 still on the table. So Andre could be phased out of the championship next round, and so could Paranopoulos if they're not careful. But a second place would be good enough for Paranopoulos to stay in the fight at least until the final 2 rounds of this championship. So still all to play for there, but it's looking increasingly like Brushadov's to lose. There now. In Group H, which has been wonderfully entertaining today and very numerous as well in the cars that have been here. Patrick Fossey was able to take the victory from Vincent Tucoula, making his first appearance since round 3 or round 4. And it's another podium for him. Second place and 18 points picked up. He might have gained 8 points here today, with Christoph coming in third quite possibly, and Askins then next, and John Spider with the top 5, and Philip Robb after that. And then Andreas Roosevelt, Eric Tatel and Manuel Stoll. That's the top 9 anyway of Group H, I believe, roughly. Oh, that's a big accident for Candelopoulos. He does need to get to the end here to complete the climb, and into the banking again, I'm afraid to say. But 77-point lead coming into today. Tucoula needed to gain 3 points at least to be able to keep this one alive. And he did so by gaining 8, so the gap is now 69 points between the two of them, with 75 remaining. Still a tall order for him to do anything in this championship, and it is now indeed a 2-horse race, by the looks of things. Finally, E1 2000, where Javier Rodriguez has taken another victory here for Spain. His run of consecutive victories was broken up by Ivan Muro 2 weeks ago in Italy, but he's back to winning ways now. Valdez Corrales, despite having a good round himself, has ended up in second. I think it's going to be Pedro Alvarez as well, rounding off the podium in that category. Candelopoulos comes over the line. That may well be the final driver to complete here today, and it looks like it is indeed. So there are your final provisional results. Anyway, very provisional results and very provisional championship standings as well. Make sure you check out the website for further details on that one, for more accurate details I should add as well, really, because yeah, it's all mental maths really, and I might have got it wrong. So make sure you check out the website and the standings and the results, of course. But yeah, that is it for the St. Ursanne Hill Climb. It's a very busy week for us here though at GTR 24H. We've got a lot coming up here. It's Le Mans week in the Endurance E-Racing World Championship. The finale is this weekend, so make sure you don't miss it. 3 p.m. European time on the Saturday is when it all kicks off. The guys will be at the studio in Denmark covering it for you, and Chris Buxton also from helping remotely as well during the 24-hour race. And we've got plenty of different shows and build-up to come as well. Lots of different previews of the different teams taking part on the website, interviews with certain drivers, and possibly a preview show to come as well. It all kicks off with the first open practice starting on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. European time. A lot of Le Mans racing is going to be broadcast over the next week here on GTR 24H, so make sure you subscribe and follow us everywhere you can so that you don't miss the action. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, though. It's been another wonderful hill climb on the St. Ursanne. Next time out, we're going to be heading to Slovenia for the Irska Bistrica climb, round 11 of this championship. Only 3 to go now. And this championships, all of these championships really coming to a head as E1 plus 2000 in Group H are still up for grabs. Make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time and indeed for Le Mans Week here coming up in the next few days. But from me, Ewan O'Leary, and everybody at TTR 24H, for now, it's goodbye.
The 2021 virtual St. Ursanne Les Rangiers Hill Climb is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Pedro, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.